Does your environments affect your lifestyle? Every day, you are bombarded with thousands of things you see, hear, listen to. And what I want you to think about here is environments. How often do you actually pay attention to your environment and what that environment has an effect on living healthy, taking care of your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health? The question I have there for you then is, does your environments affect your lifestyle? And the short answer, hell yes, it does. But before we go deeper in this, let's first define what I mean with environments, as I'm meaning plural. There's not just one kind of environment. When I talk about environments, there are generally four kinds of environments that affect us. So let's just quickly have a brief overview of each of these before we go deep into how each of these affect our lifestyle. The first one being our physical environment. This is the environment around us, our home, our workplace, the physical environment that we surround ourselves with on a daily basis. The second environment is the social environment, the people we surround ourselves with. Then we've got the third environment, which is our media environment, the things we consume with our eyes, our ears, the things we listen to, the things we read, the conversations we have. And then there's the fourth environment, that little voice on your shoulder, that little internal narrative, that little belief, the things we tell ourselves about ourselves. And those are the four environments that really affect us when we are trying to be a better version of ourselves. To give you an example of this, of how these environments can affect us, let's say you had a long day at work, stress, difficult conversation with your boss, your colleagues throwing you under the bus. Now you're already stressed, you're emotional, and suddenly you're scrolling on Instagram, social media, and you keep seeing this amazing pictures of the most delicious hamburgers. Then suddenly you see an ad for a McDonald's special. And you know what? I've got food at home. We get into the car, driving, it's tired, you listen to some music. Suddenly going to McDonald's, having a drive-through, having burgers. When you get home, your whole family is happy now because you know you had a long day. They don't have to cook. You brought some takeaways for all of them. How the hell did that just happen? And I think a lot of you can relate to that scenario. Because I know I've been there after a long day. I phoned my wife, you know what? I know you had a long day too. Let me just get some McDonald's or some pizza for us. I'll bring it home. We can just relax a bit. We all are guilty of that. So that scenario is just one of many ways our environment affects us. So let's unpack that. Most of our actions are shaped by conditioning, habits, the things we've been doing over and over, learning, visual cues, stimulus, action. We keep repeating those same patterns over and over. The thing is, these conditionings run nearly 80% of all our actions, coming from the visual stimulus we see, hear, and listen to. Why is that? Because it saves energy. Because the less we have to think, the less energy our mind needs. And the more habits we can run, it means we save on energy. I'll give an example here. When you drive to work, do you think where to turn left, where to turn right, where to go straight? No, you just drive. Suddenly, you're in a new city. You will turn down the radio to see where you have to turn left or you have to turn right. That's the difference between running on autopilot, how our environment runs our automatic habits, versus when we can't run automatically and we have to cognitively think. When you brush your teeth, do you think left, right, left, right, left, right? You just brush your teeth. And that's the thing with environments, they have a critical role in living healthy. Then what about the second one? The social environment. How does the social environment affect us? This is where we start defining what normal is and what we want and what we aspire to based on our social environment. What do people around us want? What do we chase? What are the things our friends do? And eventually, those are the things we also start doing. If you see those perfect bodies on Instagram, how a body should look like, what people should be eating, slowly you start judging yourself based on exactly those social cues you are putting yourselves there. What are your friends buying? If they buy a new car, you want a new car. If they want to move and buy a new house, you want to buy a new house. If this is the new thing they are into, that's a new thing you are into. To the point, you will always be the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And that's what we call mimetic desire. And later on, we are going to go deeper into mimetic desire. But our social circle defines a lot of the parameters we choose to define our level of success, the things we want, the things we need in order to fit in with our tribe. We are social creatures. That's normal. But at the same time, you also need to ask yourself, are those things the things you chose? And are they actually achievable? And the things you actually want to have in life? And then we've got the third one, our amazing relationship with technology, the phone, the tablet, the computer, the TV, media, over and over, the thing we are constantly stuck on. Now, does that have effect? Definitely. This is where many of us, set the norm of what is normal, what is expected of us, what is the thing that we aspire to. The more you like cars on your social media or handbags, or you follow politics, or this new hobby or that, the more you see that thing, or the perfect physique, and the more beautiful women or men you are looking at on social media, those are the things that create the benchmark where you compare yourself to where you want to be versus where you are. And the more that happens, the more we get that internal doubt. You know what? I'm failing. I'm not good enough. I'm not getting where I want to be going. This isn't where I should be. I should be there. That can be a very destructive rabbit hole because those comparisons, are they based in reality? Are they based in the foundations of what you actually want or what your media environment creates as what the perfect normal should be? That doesn't mean it has to be your should be what I want from life. But yet again, we all fall prey to it. That's how the brain works. We take those things as normal. We don't have them. So now we want them and we start chasing them and we start judging ourselves compared to them. Then we get to the fourth one, internal environment. That's that little belief we have about ourselves, the things we tell ourselves. We're not worthy. We're not good enough. We're going to fail at this. We can't deserve this. Well, how are we going to do this? I'm good at this. And that's a very important one and such a big overlooked area for many of us because you know what? We'd rather keep that silent. We'd rather not talk about that. Regardless of what happens in the outside world, that internal voice dictates the reality we believe, the reality we create, and the narratives we start showing up each day with. And over, that internal voice is a very important environment to still develop and work on and build awareness around to become healthier. That was a brief overview of the 4 different environments we find ourselves in quite often and the 4 environments that affect us. Now, in future videos, I will go deeper into each of those specifically, the what's, the hows, and all of that. But today, what I want to share with you is the framework I use with my patients in order to start developing more awareness and actionable steps and a framework to start thinking about these environments in a practical manner. And that is the framework I call the S.H.I.F.T.S framework. And what the S.H.I.F.T.S framework means: S, self-awareness and assessment. H, harness your physical environment. I, integrate supportive and social media environments. F, foster mindful habits and routines. T, tackle mimetic desire. S, sustain resilience and willpower. That is the framework we're going to dive into now. I'm going to give you all of those, the actionable steps, the things to think about. And if you're still watching, I would really appreciate if these things mean value to you. Give this channel a subscribe. I don't just talk about diets. I actually talk about the fundamentals of lifestyle change, the psychology running our decisions, our lifestyle, our habits, our food choices, our exercise choices, how we show up in life. Because all of those things affect our success rate at becoming healthier, physically, mentally, spiritually, career-wise. And that's why I'm going to share this framework with you. So let's dive deeper into the shifts framework. And the first one being S, self-awareness and assessment. Now, this is where we need to become aware of our triggers, our habits, the things that makes us do certain things. Because without building the awareness, we can't change the habits that are leading us on the wrong path. So the key actions here are keeping a journal where we track our eating patterns, our moods, the events that happen, the things when we crave certain things. Write all these things down. And it might seem daunting at first, but the more we can write down, journaling what we are eating, what we are feeding, what happened, why did that happen, the more we can start seeing the underlying patterns. And that then leads to identifying the cues that leads to the triggers and the habits that don't serve us well. And also, this is where we need to start paying attention to the inner dialogue also. That little voice, I'm not good enough, I'm going to fail at this, I can't do this, why can't I just stop doing that? And also starting to pay attention to what that is telling us, how we engage with that, and then also how we escape from that little voice. The exercise I want you to do here is getting a journal for a week or two. Write down everything you eat, how you feel, the emotions, what comes up, because that creates the foundation of building the awareness of where am I heading, where do I want to go, what is that gap, but also seeing exactly what habits are leading us astray and which ones do we tackle first. Then number two, the H. Harness your physical environment. This is now where we need to start paying attention to our physical environment and then how we can change it to make it easier to sustain the life we want and easier not to fall prey to all the wrong things in our home. The key points here are restructure your kitchen. If you have unhealthy food in your home, guess what? You are going to eat it. Those cookies in the cupboard, 9 o'clock on a Friday night while we're watching a Netflix movie, you are going to have it. Start paying attention, those little nasty snacks you keep in your home when you are going for them. Just removing them from the equation a lot of times makes it easier not to mindlessly gorge on them. And also, use tech wisely here. Set alarms, timer, notes, things that you have to do. Put it on your calendar. I have to go to the gym. Put timers. I need to take a break. Little timers of, you know what, let's take 5 minutes. Let's assess what I'm feeling. Let's write something down. That's where technology can help if we use it constructively. So the exercise here I will give you. Look at your home environment, especially your kitchen, and look for 3 or 4 unhealthy things you keep in your house. And then think, what can you replace them with that is a better option? And the next week, replace 4 more things. And the week after that, replace 4 more things. Instead of revamping the whole kitchen in one go, focus on 3 or 4 things each week, which we replace for something better. And then we've got number 3, the I, integrate supportive social and media environments. The step here is to surround ourselves with people, communities, media that lifts us up, that motivates us, that keeps us accountable, instead of the scrolling we always do about comparison. I'm not there yet. That's what I want. Constantly being worried. This isn't what I'm living up to. No, this is where we take an active stance and we start cultivating our social and media environment. And the key points here are curate your social circle. Pay attention to the people you surround yourself with. Are they helping you on this path? Are they bringing you down? Have a look at your social media. Those things you see and listen to and watch, are they helping you stay motivated? Are they actually empowering that little voice on your shoulder of how much you are failing? This is what I should be. This is what I am. This is where we need to start looking at that and then changing it so it actually helps us and supports us. This is where the exercise I'll give you, redo your social media. Go look what you are following on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, and then really ask yourself, is that what I value from life? Does that help me stay accountable, motivate me? Is that the real values I want to show in life? And if that is, by all means. But the things that don't fit those 3 questions, then unfollow. Start following things that will help you stay better on this path without breaking you constantly down in this whole comparison game we've always find ourselves in. And then the challenge there this week, unfollow 10 or 15 profiles and then follow 10 or 15 new profiles that will help you on this path. Number 4, F, foster mindful habits and routines. This is now where we become more active. We've built the awareness, we've seen what we are feeding our eyes and our ears and our environment. Now we're going to start looking at cultivating new habits mindfully with intention and direction. And the key actions here are, first one, setting clear, definable, and measurable goals. This is where, you know what? These are 4 things I want to achieve. Can I measure them? Yes. Okay. What does that mean 12 months from now? 6 months from now? 3 months from now? What does that mean I have to do every week and every day in order to get to that point? That's you now setting the direction for us to be able to move towards. But don't go for 100 habits at a time. Choose 2 or 3 to start with. A key action here, practice mindfulness. Pay attention. Be kind to yourself. Don't belittle yourself if it's not perfect and you don't see all the progress in a week. No, this is about starting small. Many small actions leads to the big results you want, not the big actions that you do for 3-4 weeks and then you can't sustain it, then you crash and burn. Be mindful of the load you are trying to change. A tip here I'll give you is what we call habit stacking. Take something you don't like doing and combine that with something you do. As an example, for me, I hate running on a treadmill. You don't know how long a minute feels until you've been on a treadmill. So what I do, I've got certain Netflix shows I can only watch while I'm on the treadmill. So now I want to watch the next episode. Now that encourages me, if I want to watch it, I have to go on the treadmill. And start thinking, what can you combine 2 things together? Something you like and something you don't like, so it actually keeps you accountable to go do that thing again. And what I'll leave you with number 4 here, consistent routines reduces the mental fatigue, so we don't constantly have to make these difficult decisions. Mindfulness, that awareness we build, helps us with impulse control, not to give in to food as an emotional crutch to help soothe us. That's why consistency, small actions, and mindfulness is vital for this path. Then number 5, tackle mimetic desire. This is where I want you to start questioning the things you want from life, the values you have, the things you are chasing, the things you need to get done, that perfect of everything you want. These mimetic desires come from things like the social media, the videos, the books we read, where we were brought up, the school we went to, the cultural influence, the religious influence. All these things has created a set of values of things we aspire to. And the question here is, do you actually ever sit and ask yourself, are these the values I want? Are they the values I've chose, or are they the values that's been imposed on me? And there's no right or wrong here, but again, the values we choose and the things we choose to chase and aspire to must be your own choice, not things that we think are our own choices, but things we actually chose consciously. Because a lot of times, the more we chase things that isn't our own decisions, the more it leads to stress, anxiety, unhappiness, and overall just mehness. So this is where I want you to become intentional about the role models you aspire to, the books you read, the social media, the things you are chasing, what success looks like for you. And then we've got number 6, the last one, S for sustain, resilience, and willpower. This is where we start developing long-term strategies in order to keep us showing up. Those days we don't feel like it, when we are tired, when we don't have the energy, when we just feel like giving up. That resilience in order to show up even when we don't feel like it. And the key actions here are plan willpower recovery. We are constantly bombarded with decisions we have to make, things we have to get sorted. Schedule time where you can just relax for 10, 20 or 30 minutes, where you don't need to make a decision, where you can just mindlessly escape in a book. Watch something if you want, meditate. It's just time where we take a few minutes out of the day, not having to think about anything. That might be even going for a walk, spend a weekend away in the nature a bit, or take half a day off somewhere. Make mental recovery a part of your weekly regime. And a lot of times we overlook this completely and we get that complete mental fatigue. Schedule mind breaks into your week. And also, structure your decisions. If you have to make a lot of decisions, think about it. What decisions can you automate and structure so you don't have to spend hours worrying about it and you have to make these decisions? That's why in the mornings, make most of your decisions you have to take care of, write them down, and then stick with them. As the day progresses, the mental willpower also goes down. So spend a lot of your decision making as early as possible. Track your progress. A month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, at the end of every month, have a review. Or at the end of the week, have a review. How did the week go? Did I do the things I had to do? Did I show up? At the end of the month, you do the same. Then you start seeing, am I actually doing what is necessary? You know what? This last 3 weeks, I couldn't get this done. Okay, why is that? Is this because I have too much on my plate? Is this because maybe this thing is too big for me at the moment? How can I downscale that habit so I can actually make progress on it? Because many times if we don't track our progress, we don't do the thing, and we feel guilty about it, we tuck it in a little Pandora's box and we never think about it, and we get absolutely nowhere. And the exercise I will give you here is something I do, and that is the Sunday setup. At the end of a Sunday, I will take 10-15 minutes and I will schedule my workouts for the day. I'll put them on my calendar. What are the meals going to be for this week? What are the 3 or 4 things I have to take care of immediately when the week begins? What are the 3 or 4 things that I want to do better this week than last week? And I just put that out in a nice little framework in order when Monday comes, I have my direction. And then that Sunday comes around again, then I will see, did I do it? Yes or no? If yes, what went well? What didn't went well? If I didn't do something, why didn't I do it? What was the reason? And then, how can I be better the next week? That takes you 10-15 minutes every Sunday. And you'll be surprised that 10-15 minutes, how much that helps with the coming week. And that's the thing, long-lasting change is possible. But this is where we need to start looking at those 4 environmental factors, how they are affecting us, how they are playing out in our daily life, the triggers, the cues, the people, the media, all these things. And go through the S.H.I.F.T. framework. And every week, start looking, how can you improve one little habit at a time? And then the next thing. And don't think you have to do all 6 these acronyms from day one. Starts with the A. Start with the first one, with the self-awareness and self-assessment. Once you're done with that, go with the next one and the next one. This isn't about how much you can do as quick as possible. It's how little you can do for the biggest results you can get, because little things are easy. And the more little things we do, the more progress we see. This isn't a sprint. This is a marathon. That is the video about environments and the S.H.I.F.T. framework I use in my private practice. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop a comment down below. And as always, be 1% better today than you were yesterday.